Hello and welcome to our Friday check-in for the accountability series. So this week I was not too sure if I would get through everything on my list, and as it turns out I did not. I think at the beginning of this week when I was setting out this list, I was not being very realistic given I needed to work more hours for my on the clock job this week. And that's, I think, the main thing that happened. I also had a few things added to the list that I wasn't really prepared for, including a deadline that came up a bit sooner than I had originally recorded in my planner. So yeah, stuff happens. But let's take a look at what I thought I'd do versus what I actually did. So drafting the Hawaii PowerPoint. Well, that was started, but it was definitely not finished, so I can't check that off. I did end up reworking the Thompson section some, not to the degree I would like, but it was enough for the purposes of that checkbox. I submitted the draft to my advisor, or my former advisor, and he gave me comments back within 5 hours. That was like record time, so that was much appreciated and slightly scary. I did not get to finish rereading Thompson. That didn't happen. I'm hoping I will get that done next week. Based on some of the feedback I got from my former advisor, I decided I need to read chapter 13 of Dennett's Consciousness Explained. So I both read that and I took notes on it. This was a very helpful exercise. I realized a potential devastating objection is not so devastating. So definitely worth doing. I also responded to my former advisor and told him thanks for the very helpful and very quick comments. I wanted to read the SCP on mental representations. That's the encyclopedia article. Along with drafting an abstract this week. That did not get touched. Kind of unfortunate, but that just definitely did not happen. So I did get to respond to my advisor. We had a brief exchange. Some of what we talked about made me doubt a little bit the abstract strategy I've been taking for my proposal. So that's one reason that the mental representation stuff and mental state stuff didn't get done. I kind of wanted to think a little bit harder about how I'm approaching that. So that's partially it. Partially I just didn't have time to make progress on it. I thought I had a deadline on Wednesdays to submit an abstract for the Disney and Philosophy volume. Turns out that was actually Tuesday. I noticed this on Tuesday, so I did manage to submit an abstract, and I had to update my CV to send with that abstract. So maybe that will get accepted or not. They just told me they're gonna get back to me soon, so we'll have to see. I read Chris's paper for the CPR meeting, which as you can see happens here on Friday mornings. I read through that paper. It was very interesting, a lot of Buddhism. It was also a lot of metaphysics, so it took a bit of time. Another reason that the week's not every box has gotten checked this week, but it was well worth it. I also formulated comments to give to him at the meeting. It's a work in progress meeting, so everyone reads ahead and comes up with things to say, and then at the meeting we just present the things and hear the author's feedback on what they think of our comments. Excuse me. So that went very well. I enjoyed that a lot. So in other tasks, I was supposed to clean the living room. That has not happened. In fact, I've kind of made the living room worse. So that's a problem. I was supposed to research the closet. That also didn't happen. I thought I might have some downtime during the workday this week, and I just didn't. It was a really nonstop week. So that is getting forwarded to the future. I did create a KU's hours tracker. We've got that rolling. I met with Alex, that's for the MAP, the Minorities and Women in Philosophy Club. Had that meeting, came up with some good ideas for the future. First of the month bills, so I've been paying the ones that were immediately necessary, but I haven't systematically paid them, so I can't check that off. I did work the extra hours at KU's. I finished my Audible book. It was a really good book. It was about failure and seeking out rejection. I will put a link to that book below. It was very good though, highly recommend it. I vetoed during the Birthright app, or the Birthright application. It's just too complicated this summer. I think I need to focus on writing. So we're just not doing that and hoping future Louise can figure that out. And I did not do the updating the budget binder. Just didn't have time. So that was this week. We can look at the other side here. Hawaii PowerPoint. I mean, this was started, but not completed, so we can't check that off. Did the Disney and philosophy thing. Did not do cleaning the living room. The closet was not sorted out, but I did manage to meet with Alex and I did make up the time for my work. So overall, I think the main problem this week was I didn't take into account the abstract, the time that was gonna take. I wasn't anticipating getting feedback as quickly as I did from my former advisor. And I just, working more hours for my job is demanding. So what I should have done is taken that into consideration as I formulated this list on the back. But instead I formulated it thinking, what do I need to get due to make my overall progress? That's something obviously important to consider, but now we're here at the end of the week and I have a lot of boxes that aren't checked, which isn't an awesome feeling. So moving forward, I need to think a little bit harder about how much time I actually have and not just what ideally I would get done. All right, well, that is this week. Next week I'm going to be traveling some. It's gonna be a little bit more complicated, but I will be coming in for my accountability check because that gets done no matter where we're going or when it's happening or what time zone we might be in. So I will see you guys then. Thanks.